Hey, hey, what's going on, good people? It is the werewolf himself without the fur. I'm a hairless, rare breed. Coming at you live from the secret location of Black Site 32, aka actually, it's just Bruce Wayne Manor in the back room. All right, so let's get going. What are we talking about here today? We're talking about the private citizen. You know, that thing that people these trolls and whatever else say doesn't exist. Well, let's take a gander, shall we? Oh, what's that? You guys want to see me? Fine. Werewolf. Woo! What's going on, guys? Appreciate you. Trying to look a little more professional today, even though it's really warm today. And after looking at my last AC bill, either I need a new AC unit or I got to move somewhere with somebody who does have one, because that bill is horrible. All right. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about the private citizen. Now, why would we do that? Because most of these people out here, you know, the low-level functionaries, see, the people on top know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, I've lived amongst a number of them for years, so they know exactly what I'm talking about. They're just not going to come out and talk about this, and because I'm truly not one of them, and I learned from a lot of them, I'm going to share some things, and some things will remain private. Okay, that's just how it works. If you want the gold, you got to do your own digging, as they say. So the private is what all of us have as a natural state of our creation from our creator. We are endowed with these rights, freedoms, and liberties. Other countries, I can't necessarily speak for them, unfortunately. They might be owned and they are, in fact, property of their particular state. Here, the only way you can become property of the state is if you start to use the all capitalized name, capitis demutio maxima, Black Law's dictionary. A full loss of rights and freedoms by use of the name in all capitalized letters, which was, from the farthest I can find, back in the Roman days, they used that to designate a slave. You are property, you are dead, you've lost all of your rights, so your name is capitalized. To also then mean, in the true, I believe the word is vernacular, that to capitalize, okay, to make capital on, to gain money on, to turn into money. You've been capitalized, all right, commercialized, made into a commercial product, taken away and shanghaied on the open seas, maritime jurisdiction. So when you were born, you were free, which is why they try to get you to not accept or to ignore, or not to ask for and pay for the heirloom record of birth or birth record, the baby feet print one. Always, always, always get that. Ladies, men, get that one. Pay for it. A lot of times to distract you or dissuade you from it, they'll say, oh, well, we can't put that on your bill. You have to pay for that one. Yeah, that's odd. You can put 20 grand on there, but you can't put a $200 heirloom on there. Some of them might work with you, some of them might not. Okay. Anyway, I digress. So what you're going to want to do is understand that you were born private. People have always asked me, well, how come I don't have to authenticate the heirloom? How come I don't have to authenticate the certificate of live birth? Because your state, when it says correctly, your county, which is American, has done it already for you. Not the birth certificate that was issued from the state of, which is different than your county. You guys have to understand these are different jurisdictional differences. Okay. We the people. I know it's a little dirty because I'll wash it later. So your county authenticates the heirloom and the certificate of live birth. Now, the best one is the heirloom. The next best one is either, well, in the same category would be for you to create your own before the child is even born. Then it would be like the certificate of birth. And of course, the state of created one, which turns into a federalized state employee. You become a resident. They brought you into their jurisdiction to call you a resident. Now that you reside in there, and you don't have to have those because you're perfectly okay with being in the private. However, you may find that some places don't like the self-created Bible one, self-created basic one, the heirloom, or the certificate of live birth. They want one issued from the state. And where's the powerful document? So before you get the birth certificate, the state asks you to prove that you are who you are. Some residency, your name, all caps, 2-digit abbreviation on the envelope, and the zip code. Bring you in. But they want that icky old certificate of live birth or the heirloom or even the Bible one. Then they'll convert it into one and issue you the all caps version, which makes you a public person. So once you become a public person, which is equivalent to a business, it's a trust or a business trust that the state has issued you, that now that name is underneath their jurisdiction because they issued it. And if you look on the birth certificate, you'll find no birth, weight, time, signatures, all that, because they didn't birth you, the living person. They birthed you, the corporate entity, the employee version of you. They gave you a company to run. And so now everything that you put underneath that company goes underneath them. That's why they can probate it and do all these things to you and your children. Okay, so there it is. So now that people say there's no such thing as the private side until they suddenly want to do something private, let's take a look at what they say about private law or the private citizen. Shazam! Okay. So, private citizen. A private citizen is someone who does not have an official or professional role in a given situation. Okay? So, if you do not have an official or professional role, I'm not a cop, although I was going to become one. I'm not military, though I was supposed to go into it. And I started to, but I did not. If I would have done those things in the time that I am there, I am a professional. I'm an official, but I am not. So guess what that makes me? A private citizen. So they have no jurisdiction over a private citizen, only the public. All of their statutes, codes, rules, regulations, powers given to them by the federal government, powers that they themselves have, none of them say they have jurisdiction of the private citizen because they can't. Unless you pull yourself into the public by doing something stupid, like speeding, criminal activities, denying somebody else of their rights and freedoms. You have elevated yourself from the private and made a public spectacle of yourself. Okay. Sorry, I wasn't yelling. For a moment there, I was getting my U.S.C on. All right, what do we got here? So the same person who may be a private citizen in one role, check it out, and an official in another. So let's see what they say about official. An official is someone who holds an holds an office in an organization or government and participates in the exercise of authority. An elected official is a person who is an official by virtue of an election. Officials may also be appointed ex officio. Some official positions may be inherited, blah, blah, blah. So this is what your judges are, your police officers, your postal people, anybody in the public that you see that is required to provide you with a service, though usually the bare minimum. The private citizen gets the maximum. The public gets the bare minimum. So they are operating in one or the other role. Neither can be at the same time. You cannot mix the public and the private. One at a time. Try knocking on your judge's door when he gets home. He's going to tell you he's in the private. It's my private home. So they know what it is, but you don't. So when you go to court, you're in their public role. See, right here, in one role. You are in one role at a time. And you don't even know about your private side or how to enforce that or state that, declare that, show that, prove that, where your power comes from for that. So you're public, and your name in all caps is public. You showed up to a summons. You were summoned like a entity pulled out of the ether. So whoosh. In a general appearance. So you are public. You've already given them jurisdiction. You walked past the swinging ship door, or the bar door. Jurisdiction, you're on my ship now. Welcome to having your citizenship. So, for example, a legislator is an official when voting in the legislature, but a private person, catch that? So even legislators have a private side if they declare it. It's there when paying taxes. Now, actually, what this really should say, if this should be a correction to Wikipedia. I don't know if you guys watch me like everybody else does, but when you're paying taxes, you're in a public role. Private people don't pay taxes. Private natural indigenous state citizens don't pay taxes, only if it's for common goods in the area. So normally, if you're paying taxes, you are a public person. And operating in the United States, which is located in the Washington District of Columbia under UCC 9-307, location of the debtors in DC. Anywhere out of that area that uses any of their zip codes and abbreviations, then you are construed to be on paper in their jurisdiction, outlying areas, territories, if you will. Or when undertaking a citizen's arrest. Did you know you can arrest cops? Did you know you can arrest officials? A citizen's arrest is an arrest made by a private citizen. That is a person who is not acting as a sworn law enforcement official. In common law jurisdictions, which is everywhere has common law. It's underneath your feet, but you have to claim it. Now, I'm not saying go out there and try to arrest them, but if they're denying you your rights, you have the right. But remember, at the end of the day, they've got a gun, and might makes right. You're going to have to prove a whole lot of things. So do not use that willy-nilly, because it will backfire if you don't know what you're doing. So be sure. As a matter of fact, you contact Internal Affairs, go on their website, file against the police, the judge, the whoever else. In a public place, a person may remain a private citizen even when having considerable political power and influence. So right here, they're telling you that even though you can be in political positions, power, and whatever else, you still remain a private citizen. You're just not using it. In his capacity as a private citizen, was able to dominate the affairs of the Athenian assembly and to direct and guide the demos for nearly a generation. So now in law, let's look at the law. What does the law say? That was a bit far. Private citizens in quem tam. So let's see what that says. In common law, a writ of quem tam is a writ through which private individuals who assist a prosecution can receive for themselves all or part of the damages of financial penalties recovered by the government as a result of the prosecution. In name is an abbreviation of Latin phrase quem tam pro domino. Okay, it's an action, brings suit on behalf of the state, but are not officers of the court and are possibly eligible for an award. Private citizens may have the right to make citizen arrests under certain circumstances despite not being sworn law enforcement officials. Private citizens may have the right to bring citizen suits to enforce a statute. You guys seeing this? You're with me, right? A government employee may be considered to be a private citizen in the context of law enforcement actions. For example, an emergency medical technician who discovered contraband on a patient was ruled not to be a government agent for the purposes of constitutional restrictions on government searches. Just let that all sink in for a moment. Just let it all sink in. Okay, now I want to bring this to light as well. So check this out. Make sure you guys can see it. Okay. So here with the TSA pre-check. Now we talked about the pre-check, and I'm going to talk about some more things to go along with this before. If you want to get in and out of the airport quick without being all patted down and your junk fondled, maybe you want that. I haven't had my junk fondled in a while. Anyway, so look down here what it says in small writing. The TSA pre-check is available to who? U.S. citizens. Who? Nationals. Who? LPRs. Lawfully or lawful permanent residents. Wait, what was the middle one? Nationals. See, the government knows you guys are nationals or natives of the state. But if you're based out of D.C., through paperwork, then you're considered a U.S. citizen. Nationals can also be called, though I don't care for it, citizens of the United States, but not U.S. citizens. Those are separate things legally. Problem is nobody wants to take the time to break down and look at the little legal things, the little minutia. Hold on. Sorry, getting a text message. Okay. So there you have it. Nationals. It is real. There it is. Once again. Okay, let me minimize this. Close out that. You know, I was going to put this in another video, but you know what? Let's smush it all in. Okay. Omnis persona est homo sed non visum. Every man is a man, but not vice versa. Now, this is not a good translation of this. So let's look at online Black Laws library or book. Every man is a person, or excuse me, every person is a man, but not every man is a person. So what are they really saying in this most ominous Latin inscription? They're saying that every person, so the word person is supposed to mean that you are a man, but not every man is a corporation. Okay, see how they did that? Now, we've already looked up person with them before. Okay. So here they're not mentioning, okay. So here they're saying human creature, but here, bodily form, character, part, role. So that's how they hide the corporation in there. Individual. Let's see. Let's look it up. Character. Yeah, it starts to get into all this little gibberish, math, entertainment, characters. So once again, yeah, these are all still yet basing it on non-living things. Some of these reference man, mortal, party, ethos. Because some of the stuff is outdated, you have to know what to look for. So in this case, what it should say is there is legal person. Okay, but remember how I said the body? Here it is. There it is. That's how they get you right there. The legal person, a body of men. So the body of men. Of. Anytime you see the word of, you're not getting a real thing. All right. So of men, you're just saying, oh, it's a body of men. Well, the word of in there means not the real thing. So it's a body of men. So where men get together and they form this body. So it's a body of the men. It's a body of men's form and shape. Is the legal person, which is different than the private or living person. Of property which law in imitation, telling you it's fake, of the personality of human beings, treats artificially, so fake, as subjects of rights, so not real rights, fake rights, corporate statutes and codes, and duties independent of its component parts. So independent of what components, what parts? Well, the men. The legal entity is independent of its living parts. The man is separate than the body itself, that legal person, the nom de gore, the war name, straw man. Your name in all capital letters is a legal person. It's a mask. Actually, look right here. Yeah. Persona, a mask. A legal person is a persona and a mask used by actors, which is why sometimes on IMDb or Wikipedia, you'll see a government official or somebody who's in legal capacity mentioned to be a actor. Because when you go to an actor, you ask them for what? Not their legal person name, not their mask name, but their real name by means of an autograph. A legal person, body of persons, but not a person, body of a body. Like persons, or an entity as a corporation. Considered to have many of, oh, there's that of the rights. So not many rights, not living person's rights, but of the rights and responsibilities of a natural, right here, person. Booyah. Holla at your boy. All right, guys, Wolf's out. You guys know what to do by now. Hit that and enjoy your summer. Thanks for watching. Check out Black Site 32. All my information, all the files, all the social media, YouTube. It's all on there. Now go have some fun and live your best lives. You have so been instructed.